This episode of The Rest is Football is brought to you by Saily, keeping you connected wherever you are in the world. Now, lads, have you ever had one of those moments when you're away and you feel you've missed the big news that everyone is talking about?
Playing golf in the Algarve in the summer, enjoying the sun, but you can't keep up with the latest transfer news. You're refreshing your phone, and all you get is that dreaded spinning loading wheel.
You'll need to know where Isak is going now, won't you, Al? I mean, he's definitely going to be rumoured to go so in the summer. So many different options. You know what I mean? There's going to be breaking news, live scores. Saily have got you covered.
And roaming fees? Not with Saily. You stay online, secure and in the loop all season long. You can download Saily in your app store and use our code RESTISFOOTBALL at checkout to get an exclusive 15% off your first purchase, or just hit the link in the episode description box. Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. We've just finished the last match of the day of the season. Well, the last ever match of the day for me. And we got home all pretty late. So hence the fact that this episode is arriving to you quite a bit later than it normally does on a Monday. But bear with us. We did at least get a couple of hours sleep.
How are you feeling, Gaz?
I was a bit tired, but a bit emotional last night. I'm fine. I'm good. Thank you both for your very kind words last night. And it was... I must say, when they played the montage, obviously I knew something was coming, but I didn't know what it was at all. And I was struggling to keep myself, especially when I saw my boys. I think that's what it's like when it's family and stuff. And thankfully, that wasn't the last clip, because I'd gone at that point. I needed time. I needed time to get myself together to try and get through the end of the show. It's weird, isn't it? I presented it for 25, 26 years. And I always obviously finish with the Premier League table and then a closing line, which I again did last night. But for the first time ever, because of everything that was going on, I'd completely lost what we call the copy, which is basically the written form of what I read out over the tables. And that's written by the subs. It needs to be accurate, obviously, for all the things. You can't make any mistakes. For the first time in 26 years, I couldn't find it and it wasn't there. So I just bust, which was a bit different. But yeah, I died. There were a couple of tears. I was fighting it back a bit with my closing lines. But it was. Big thank you actually to Richard Hughes. Is the editor, and Colin was there as well last night. They've been with us for a long time, and Rich is he's brilliant. He's the best in the business, and it was getting that montage together was a beautiful thing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Ryan did it, didn't he?
Ryan, thank you, Ryan. Yeah,
fair play, because me and Alan had seen it, didn't we? A couple of days before, and I just thought, wow, what a piece that was. A special day, fully deserved it. And people's asking, was it good enough? Did you like it or not? And I just thought, you absolutely nailed it. So don't worry about it. It was an emotional day for us all, because you're trying to concentrate on football, but the day's just about you, really is. And me and Alan, and you've been with Alan a lot longer than me. What do you call it? The back nine? Do you call that in golf? So I come in your back nine, didn't I?
Off the back nine. Yeah.
Alan's been there a lot longer than me. Did you say 19 years we discussed the other day?
Yeah, 19 years, yeah.
But just to be a part of sharing a studio with you, and like I said on the montage, all the help, all the guidance, truly meant it with all my heart. And it was just nice to see you get the send-off that you deserve. And
bless you.
I know Alan was was quite emotional yourself, wasn't it, Al?
Yeah, it was tough. I thought it was. I think Rich did a great job, and Ryan and Owen Colmore did echo what you said. I think they did a great job. It was brilliant, and I thought it was a really, really good send off. But I knew that you were, as soon as you looked at your boys on the montage, and that was the time you were going to go, and it was, wasn't it? Bless you.
It was something. But even seeing people like Pep, Claudio Ranieri popping up, I was like, oh no, don't do this to me.
Arne Slot did a really nice thing as well, didn't he? When you interviewed him as well after the Liverpool game, I thought he spoke really well. And I hope you're going to take Gaza up on his invitation to go and get your teeth and your Botox and everything done in Turkey.
He's something else.
He's a boy, isn't he?
You can always rely on Gaza for something special. Actually, Rich sent me the non-edited version of his little video. And honestly, there were a couple of bits you certainly never could have put on air. But yeah.
Just quickly before you move on, elaborate on Rich Hughes as well. Yeah. He's so good at his job.
Yeah, he's the main editor. I mean, or you could call it director of the shows. It's kind of it's his show really, and worked with him for donkey's years now. And he's the guy to blame, by the way, if your team's at the end of the show. He ultimately decides the running order. You can't actually come in next season. You can't blame me anymore. So blame Richard. No, but I've got a lot of time for him, both as a director and as a human being. And he's the best I've worked with at that role. And it's a big role, particularly Match of the Day. Yeah. It was mad, wasn't it? We had a picture, didn't we, with the whole Match of the Day team just before the start of the show, which I'll make sure they send me one and I'll put it on social medias at some point. I mean, there are so many people.
It's incredible, isn't it?
In making. There must have been, 40, 50 people in there. Yeah. All came in for the photo like 5 minutes before the start of the show. Yeah. And it's a massive team effort, and Richard's at the head of it. And it's like the manager, isn't it, of a football team? You've got all these people come together, and you're the person in charge. So thanks, Richard. Yep. I know we normally take the piss out of each other on this, and the same with you two. I appreciated your kind words in that video. It meant a lot.
We meant it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Right. We need to move on before I start again. Before I go. I find it very uncomfortable.
You can't take compliments, can you?
No, I'm much better with people taking the piss out of me. It's much better.
All right. Fucking move on, big lugs.
That's better, Al. Thank you. Thank you very much. I suppose really we'd have to talk about the Champions League spots, because that's pretty much all that was left to play for last night, European slots. And you had a very nervy afternoon, Alan.
I will never have a bad word said against Manchester United ever again.
Who would have thought that they'd bail you out?
Well, yeah, and a certain decision that might have helped, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But it was a nervy afternoon. I mean, Newcastle were terrible. They were really poor. They looked, there was nothing in their performance that we've seen so many times with regards to energy and skill and all of those things that we've seen so many times. But yeah, Everton really deserved the win. But Newcastle got lucky on the last day. But there's nothing lucky, when you've had 38 games and you finish where you deserve to finish. So yes, it wasn't about yesterday. It was about the whole of the season. And I genuinely meant it. It's the greatest season in my lifetime, with the trophy, finishing in Champions League spots. So it's been an amazing season for Newcastle. It really has.
I think Eddie Howe needs a lot of praise, doesn't he? Because we've talked a lot, especially off air, Al, about not getting the signings that you would have liked. You having a lot of money but not being able to spend it. But to get in the Champions League and then win the League Cup, I think it's nothing short of sensational, really, when you think about it, who he's up against throughout the league and the finances that they can spend. I think he's done remarkably well, Eddie Howe.
Well, they haven't made a major signing. Signed a Sula from, I think it was Sheffield United, wasn't it? And that's the only one they've signed in 3 windows. So I would hope, and I'm sure that he will demand that they make a few big hitter signings of this summer.
And keep the big fella up front.
Yeah, got to keep him. And they will. I'm pretty certain that that because of their success this year and because of they're in Champions League football and all of those things, that there's not a worry in my mind that he's going anywhere. He'll be a Newcastle player next season, and because he's a very, very, very good player.
Yeah, if you added 2 or 3 top quality players to that squad, you could seriously challenge.
That's what they have to do, and I think that if they want to go to the next level and they want to remain where they are, which is in and around the top 4 or 5 all season and challenge for trophies. But to do that, you have to keep going, and it's time they kept going, and they got to get in, I think, 2 or 3 big hitters who are going to improve the first team. And if they do that, I agree, they're not far away from challenging.
No, just to say, when you say big hitters, what positions are you talking about?
Another forward, depending on who they sell or who they keep, probably a right side midfielder, maybe another centre half. If they can add that, then I really don't think they'll be far away.
I think the other thing as well you've got to look forward to, Alan, is that because of the nature of the new Champions League, it's not before you used to really hope that you get a good group on the occasions you get in the Champions League. I remember doing it when Leicester got in. Yeah. And you think, oh, come on, give us a Barcelona or a Real Madrid. We want a monster trip, one of those, Juventus or whoever it may be, one of the Milan clubs or something. But now you're pretty much guaranteed to have at least one and probably at least 2 really, really iconic games against a big team. And I think that, as well as games that obviously you're going to play against sides that you've got a real chance of beating. So it's a much more exciting prospect, I think, going. Otherwise, you're thinking you need to get through to the knockout stage just to have a chance to get in a big tie.
I think the new format is brilliant. I really do, because you're absolutely right. You are guaranteed 1, probably 2 massive games, which is at home and away. But if you look at what happened to Newcastle in Champions League last time, they got all the injuries, remember, and they really struggled. That's why they need to go out and sign 2 or 3, maybe more big hitters, and that will stand them in good stead. So it was a huge day for Newcastle yesterday in terms of getting into the Champions League. Terrible performance, terrible result, but it all worked out well in the end. You
work for Amazon on Tuesdays, don't you? Would you rather work the Newcastle games or watch the Newcastle games? Because you'll have Wednesdays free, won't you?
Yeah. Well, hopefully a bit of both. That's the beauty about it, is that whatever happens, hopefully we'll get Newcastle doing a couple of games on a Tuesday, and then I can go and watch them wherever on the Wednesday, whether that's home or whether that's away in Europe somewhere. Then I'm really, really looking forward to doing that and being a part of it, yeah.
Top 3 atmospheres I've ever heard. And Newcastle, PSG in the Champions League.
At St James's.
At St James's.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah.
Was electrifying. So
I want to go to St James's Park for one of those big games with you, Al.
Come up, guys. We'll get you in.
Up.
We'll entertain you.
Yeah, I've got a bit more time.
Is it prawn sandwiches though for us? I'll come along. Is it prawn sandwiches?
You'll be working as well. You'll be working. Me and Gaz will have the champagne and the lager or the Guinness, whatever. It'll be lovely.
That'll be fantastic. Now, Alan, I want you to do an appreciation of your love for Manchester United, because without them winning yesterday, you'd be very, very miserable today.
Who would have thought it? Man United doing the Toon a massive favour. I mean, they have been rotten all season, haven't they, Man United? They've been really, really poor. They deserved to win yesterday. They battered Aston Villa. I mean, Villa were really poor, lacked so many things, and couldn't complain in terms of Man United deserved to win. But they could complain about the decision that went against them.
We looked at it so many times. I mean, the thing is, you can't blame VAR for this one because we don't know if they'd turned it over. They'll probably support, a relatively inexperienced referee, and I think Villa complained about that to the PGMOL after with a statement. I mean, he made a mistake, the referee. I'm sure he recognises that. His main mistake was blowing the whistle before the ball went into the net. He he'll know this. Yeah. He'll know this. He's like, we all make mistakes. Yeah. And And he should have waited and allowed VAR to have a look at it one way or the other. But I mean, it was harsh because the keeper didn't really have it at all, did he? It was almost as though it was. The thing is, the law is quite ambiguous on this. It talks about things, the ball between your hands,
I know, yeah,
or the hand on the ball and a surface like the ground and stuff like that. But on this occasion, it definitely bounced off his fingers. And then they were saying, yeah, but if they're saying basically if the keepers had it at all, you could contrive the fact that maybe the referee got it right. But for me, it was almost like someone has a shot, the keeper drops it slightly, the striker runs in and taps it home, and that is always and always will be a goal. So, yeah, it would have been a really tough one. I mean, Emery was going absolutely bonkers on the sideline, and you get that. You work hard all season, and then a decision goes against you like that, it would have been tough to take.
Especially when they're down to 10 men as well, with the keeper sending off. I mean, the referee did get that one right. It was a relatively easy decision with the Martinez.
That was a mad bit of play, that wasn't it, really? Back pass
his form was just sort of dipped dramatically, hasn't it, recently? And it was another error of his yesterday. I mean, to come out that quick and... Yeah, that was a clear red card. But so then for them to battle as they did, and then that decision go against them, and then 2 or 3 minutes later, Man United go up the other end and score. So that was a big kick for them. But yeah, it was. He's made a huge error there. Yeah, the referee, but the keeper fudged it, didn't he? He parried it. I mean, his technique, whatever he was doing, I'm no goalkeeping expert, but his technique was terrible the way he tried to collect the ball, and he's got very, very lucky.
You know why as well? You see the reaction of Bayern. You see it. Yeah. He knows he's made a mistake, and unfortunately, ref's blown too early. I mean, I don't want to go too tough on referees because of the sort of the hassle and everyone jumping on it and families being threatened. Don't make
mistakes.
Yeah, he's made a mistake. But one thing I will say is, in a game of that magnitude, the coolest man on the pitch has to be the referee. So you've got let's say the buffer of VAR. If you're not 100% sure on something, just wait. Take your time. And I know it might be easy for me to say that in the moment, and there's so much emotion in the game, and he wants to have a good game as well, the referee. But I think it was a big learning curve for not just him, but for referees in general. Just take a breath, take a moment, and ultimately that's cost Villa a place in the Champions League, which is not acceptable, really.
Unless you're a Newcastle fan.
The only thing I would say on that, though, is as we've seen this season with the English clubs, if you are in the Europa League or the Conference League, you've actually got half a chance of winning it. Tottenham won it this year. Chelsea could well win when they play in the final.
Yeah, but in terms of financials,
I know it's more compensation, but further down the line, although Villa obviously went quite well in the Champions League, got to the quarterfinals. Yeah. As did, funnily enough, Leicester a few years ago, remarkably got to the quarterfinals. So it gives you half a chance. Manchester United, we've talked about this season all the time. Ruben Amorim, I always think he actually comes over as a quite likable guy, and he seems very incredibly honest about things. And he spoke to the crowd, didn't he, after the game, almost it was apologetically, saying that things are only going to get better. And I think that's probably the one thing you can say.
They're on a flight to Malaysia at the minute, aren't they, Man United? They flew straight after the game to go there for...
Is that where they're doing the celebratory bus tour?
They got to go and do an appearance over in Malaysia and somewhere else, which is obviously beneficial financially to the club. But can you imagine the season that they've had and then the players sat on it?
Oh, I know. I hope they get enough money to pay for packed lunches and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It can only get better, though, can't it?
Yeah.
It can only get better. I mean, we've talked about Man United all season. I don't want to pile on Amorim. No. It's been a shocking season. Everyone knows that. Let's see what he can do with a transfer window. I know Al's made it clear on multiple occasions. Will they even have money to spend? What players can they get in? But ultimately, they can't be any worse next season.
It sounds like the Cunha thing's a reality, doesn't it? That with him going to Manchester United. So I don't know what that fee would be if it comes off 60 million or something like that. So
he's an incredibly talented player. There's a slight question mark against Matheus Cunha in terms of managers off. They seem to. I think he's either brilliant or he can be accused occasionally about lacking team principles and work ethic. But I think a couple of the managers at Wolves have alluded to that perhaps, I don't know him personally, but perhaps he can be slightly problematical.
No, I think that's more out of frustration. I think if you're playing with, you can't even say where Man United finished this season, you can't even say a better team. But yeah, ultimately a bigger club with better players, egos put to the side a little bit. And I think he's perfect for that system in that 2 number 10s. Loves drifting to one side, get on the ball, really creative, and he can see a pass. So I think it'd be a good signing for Man United if they can get him.
It looks like it's very close. It's I think the agreements on all sides, so it does look like that's definitely going to happen. Manchester City, Micah, they made it, did what they had to do, finished third. I mean, you talk about bad seasons and people will obviously be talking about Manchester City trophyless, the first time that's happened for a long time, although Pep will argue with the Community Shield.
Hey, Community Shield, hey, is it
It's always been the big one. It's always been the big one. Well, if it is good, because I won one or two, so I'll take it.
Of course, it's a trophy. What's the point playing it if it's not a trophy?
We never used to count, that at all.
Yes, it's Kai. He still won a trophy. I'm not having it. He still won it, but by their standards, it's been poor, hasn't it?
Do you know? I can't even remember what it was called. What was it called before?
Charity Shield, wasn't it?
Charity Shield. That's right. Yeah. That's when I won it. I can't even remember the name of the bloody trophy. The Charity Shield. That was right. Yeah. Changed the Community Shield, but they'll rebuild. They've already started that rebuilding, haven't they? In the January transfer window, they spent a lot of money then. But it's huge for all these clubs, isn't it? 15 consecutive years of Champions League football.
I think as well, sometimes you have to look back and see how successful they've been. Obviously, by their standards, this season has been nowhere near it. But like I said yesterday on Match of the Day, if you look to the future, it's actually looking quite bright. I think Nico Gonzalez is a good player, comes in from Porto. I think a lot of people expected him to step in for Rodri. We've seen early signs. He was an FA Cup game away at Leyton Orient. And I thought, he looks good. And then he came off injured in that game. But he's actually more of a number 8 than a number 6. Rodri's going to come back into the side next season. Nico O'Reilly's played really well at left back, but also a midfielder. Guardiola's had a very good season. Again, I think one of the big question marks or talking points is Grealish. He was left out.
Jack needs to move, doesn't he?
For himself, he needs to move now. He's done what he needs to do. There's obviously a bit of tension there because when he was asked the question in the press conference, Pep, the way he reacted, you could tell that he was unhappy.
Time's up.
But it's sad. It's sad though, isn't it? You get bought for 100 million. And he played some good football as well, Grealish, but he's still not been the level that we expected. And I still think he can go somewhere and do that. I think he's done what he needs to do. And he's won a treble, for God's sake.
Take him at Leicester, I tell you now.
Guys, one other thing about that game yesterday, Man City, Erling Haaland and the penalty.
Yes, good shout, Al.
Taking the penalty yesterday, but not taking it at Wembley in the FA Cup final next week. I don't know why. I would love to know why. I would love to.
Okay, is there a ground where you've not scored? I'm probably asking this question to
Villa
people.
Park.
Okay,
Villa
so
Park.
is there
Never
something that goes through your mind? So if you've got a penalty there, and say he was playing with Alan Smith, he wanted to take the penalty, and he had a good record at Villa Park. Would you allow him to take the penalty?
I'd say very politely to Smudger, who was very kind in the video last night. Lovely to hear that he was in it. I'd say very kindly to Smudger, fuck off.
Exactly. It makes it even more reason if you haven't scored at that ground. Here's my opportunity.
I do remember in the World Cup quarter final when we played against Cameroon, and we're 2-1 down, aren't we? There's 8 minutes to go, and I get whacked, and we get the penalty. And but he hurt me a little bit, so I'm lying on it. And there was one player that came up and he's gone, if you don't fancy it, I'll have it. And that was a certain David Platt who loves scoring goals as well. And I did actually say, look, I remember looked up to him, I went, fuck off. I mean, it's a twitchy moment taking that penalty, but as me, what do we do as strikers? Exactly. What do we want as strikers? We want chances to score goals. And the reason we're in the side is that we're best finishers in the side. So therefore, it makes sense that we should take the penalties.
Even if your record was bad.
And you don't think that way, Micah. That's not how a striker thinks.
But Haaland must have felt that way. What? He not scored at Wembley. He missed
that's
three
what
of the
better
last
chance
7.
to score at Wembley. He wants chances all the time. You see him, he'll be complaining when he doesn't get the service.
If you have that attitude, then you might as well say, well, don't bother playing me.
No! This is what I mean. I can't get into you two's heads.
I know what you're trying to do, Mike, and I totally understand it. But from Alan's perspective, my perspective, now we don't know what happened with Haaland at Wembley, whether it's that. We're just surmising. And Alan's saying, I'd love to know. I'd love to ask him. And one day, hopefully, we'll get the chance to actually ask him honestly and see what it was about. Maybe who knows whether it's quite baffling because he is a striker like Alan and I were. You're desperate to score goals. You want more goals. You're hungry for goals. And what better chance? You'd never turn that down. So that's why we were bamboozled about it, Micah.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I'd have had one at Villa Park in the last game of my career, I'd still wanted to take it because it would have been an excellent chance to get rid of that bogey that I'd never managed to get one there. So
would you addict it like you did for England?
Possibly. Depends who the goalkeeper was. Thanks for bringing that back. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll discuss... Forest-Chelsea game is one we'll have to discuss. And there's one or two other things like the playoffs, etc. in the lower leagues, the Italy... Serie A going to the final day, a bit of magic from Scott McTominay. So lots more to discuss when we come back. Before we go to a break, it's time for May's edition of our special segment, Raise Your Guinness Glass, brought to you by our friends at Guinness, official beer of the Premier League. As you know, we love it when the beautiful game meets the beautiful pint. So we take some time every month to raise a glass to an incredible Premier League moment. We've got our Guinness poured already. There's mine. Look at that. Beautiful.
Yes, looking good.
So while it's settling, we're going to take a look back at May and pick a moment that's worth raising a glass to. Thoughts, Micah? What's your moment?
Come on. It's easy. It's easy this time, isn't it? Omar Mamouche, worldie against Bournemouth. I was there. I saw it in real time. I was behind it as a ball. What a strike. He dipped. Yeah. The dip on that was just outrageous. He's settling in really nice at Man City now, but without doubt.
You, Michael, because when we did Match of the Day on the last day of the season, we have to pick the goal of the season. And it was the public pick it down to the last 3, and then we decide. We do it that way, actually, to stop pylons by one club, so that the degree of fairness, we think. And you actually went for Marmouche as goal of the season, although we went, obviously, for Matoma from Brighton's effort. Yeah. But Marmouche's was one hell of a strike.
It was such a good strike. Yeah. I wanted to go with someone else. Was it Isak for Newcastle? It wasn't even in the same... I don't know. It was a good strike. I'll give you that, Al. It was a good strike. But it wasn't the same league as Mamouche's goal. I mean, that was just different.
Well, I would probably agree with that. The dip and the bend and everything that Marmouche managed to get. So I'll go along with you, Micah, that it was a worldie, without doubt.
Finally.
That was his 8th goal for City since he joined in the transfer window, which is not always easy, the January one. It's not always easy to settle in. I think he's shown enough that I think he's a real prospect. The interesting thing, Michael, for him will be what's his best position in the way that Pep likes to play.
Yeah. Where he picked up the ball for that goal, it was just in that pocket of space, wasn't it? In that number 10 area. I think I like the combinations between him and Haaland, but I also like his runs in behind. When he plays on the left-hand side, he can really make them runs and penetrating runs. But I also like him just behind Haaland as well. I think, I'd like to see him in that number 10, but obviously Phil Foden could play there as well. But for someone who's come in January, scored 8 goals, it's very difficult, the new culture coming from Frankfurt in the Bundesliga and doing so well there. But to translate that to the Premier League, he's done ever so well.
Absolutely. So let's raise our glass to Omar Mamouche. Congratulations to him. And we look forward to seeing him play next season. A little sip, I think.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, that concludes the May edition of Raise Your Guinness Glass, brought to you by Guinness, official beer of the Premier League. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. For the facts, visit drinkaware.co.uk. Time for a quick break. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richardson, me, Gary Lineker. Just one more spot there's 2. Arsenal did it, but they were already there. So let's talk about Forest Chelsea. That was the big one yesterday. It was almost like winner takes all, and Chelsea took the prize. You had to feel for Forest. Even as a Leicester fan, our local rivals, to have the season that they have, but they've still got European football. And I go back to my point that it's a competition where you've got half a chance of winning, but it's not the same. Of course it's not, as playing in the Champions League. But how should Forest feel about their season? I think they've massively exceeded expectations. It's been a brilliant season for them.
Yeah, but, and it's a big but, because you've been so close and you were in that position for so long this season, that to just fall in the last sort of month or 6 weeks when they have done, then that's why they'll be disappointed and that's why they'll be hurt. In the bigger picture, yes, they're in Europe. Would they have taken that before the season? Absolutely. No one saw that coming, what Forest have done. But you could understand Nuno's hurt and the players hurt at the end of the game, when ultimately what they wanted was to get into the Champions League, and they haven't been able to do that.
Do you fear for Nuno's position? And it's a little bit of bad blood there, possibly, isn't there? They're getting a bit. The owner seems to be getting a bit tetchy. Wouldn't allow Gary Neville in the ground, which is very odd.
Yeah, it was strange. I mean, I don't know, judging by the words and maybe body language and everything else, then it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean, the owner's made his feelings clear, hasn't he? But you can't take away from what Forest have done. You can't. They've been amazing to watch all season. A little bit different tactically to maybe the Man Cities and the Liverpools and the Arsenals at times. They're sitting that low block, but teams know what they're going to do, but they still can't stop it. And I feel the manager deserves great credit for that. And to be potentially going to Champions League football on the last day, it's a massive achievement. Yes, it will hurt. I agree with Alan. It will hurt massively, because I remember at one point there was, I think, 7 or 8 points clear of, I think it was a Villa and can't remember who the other one was. And Chelsea. It looked like they was a certainty to get it. But ultimately, they couldn't get it over the line. Chris Wood had some big chances. On another day, he scores them. I had him in my fantasy football as well, so I was devastated when he didn't score. But when you look back and reflect on the season, with the players that they have, the expectation levels at the start of the season, it's still an immense season for them.
I mean, I don't know what goes on or what has gone on behind the scenes, but can you imagine if Nuno loses his job? I mean, Forest finishing 7th, get European football, but then the manager loses his job because of that. It's like, really? It would be just
madness.
Bonkers, wouldn't it? I mean, you think as a manager, what's the point?
I know.
Crazy.
And talking to managers, Maresca.
Very good.
Really good first season. Not easy circumstances he came in there as well. We were all saying this is going to be difficult. Remember, they had, 40-odd players. They spent fortunes on everyone. He's got to try and work out his best team, his formation. He's got a way of playing. We know that at Leicester. It was very successful at Leicester. Chelsea took him, had a great start. Then there's the wobble in the middle, wasn't there? You start to think, oh dear, now we'll find out. We'll find out because when you've got a big squad, once your results start going on the decline, then people can start getting a little bit chippy in the background and you can have problems in the dressing room. But he seems to have managed that really well. They've finished in the fourth, weren't they? And they've also, of course, got the final of the Conference League to come, where they've got a real chance of silverware. A terrific first season, I would say.
Yeah, if they win that competition, which you would think they've got enough to do that, they should win it. Then win that, finish fourth. I think that would be a very, very positive season. And we heard Pep, didn't we? A few days ago, saying about the size of the squad that he wants, and he doesn't want a huge squad because of how difficult it is to manage players that are not playing. Maresca's had to do that, so you've got to give him great credit for what they've done this season. Because I wasn't convinced that they would do what they've done.
He's had a pop at a few pundits, hasn't he? He didn't name names, but he said no one believed in us. I think their opinions, no one backed us. I think he said something. How do you say in English? They should F off. He said.
How do you say in English? F off.
He said, he was in a press conference, but he didn't want to say fuck off. So he said F off. It was absolutely brilliant. But I did call Chelsea. I did call it just because of the quality of the players, whether they could go all the way. Because at one point they was sort of running away with it, thinking, can they actually win the league? And then he come out and said, no, Champions League is a priority. They got that. I think we called Palmer sort of tailing off a little bit. It was, could they sustain it? But they stepped up, and to be the youngest team in the Premier League and get Champions League football, that's a major achievement for them. So
bodes well on the future. It's funny that we're talking on the last, just after the last day of the Premier League season. We've got to the second half of the show before we talk about the team that's won it, because purely for the fact that we've been talking about them for weeks, because they did it so long ago. They had obviously given the trophy yesterday. Amazing scenes, as you'd expect at Anfield. I think today's the open top bus parade, isn't it, around the town? I can imagine that will be special. Every Everton fan will be hiding in their house. And which reminds me of that awful moment when we had to go on the bus ride with Liverpool when they won the double and I was playing for Everton. Which
that
is
is
the worst
crazy
organisation in the history of football.
Yeah.
It was horrendous. But well done, Liverpool. A couple of subjects to talk about, really, is they're going to be rebuild a little bit. He's talked about that. He said, we've been planning. I spoke to him after the show, obviously, last night. They're planning bringing one or two players in, one or two players going out. Trent, obviously, is one. The way Andy Robertson spoke sounded like he might be going. I don't know whether you've got that inkling.
Yeah, I got that, certainly with his words. But I was so pleased that the reaction or the reception that Trent got from Anfield. Really pleased that there was no bone at all. Probably what one of the reasons for that was Jurgen Klopp. I think he was at a foundation dinner on Friday evening, was it? And I think his words really sort of resonated with the Liverpool fans and really would have helped the situation. So I'm pleased that worked out well for Trent, because you could see the emotion. I mean, he's breaking his heart on the end of the game, and that's understandably so. So to get the reception that he did was brilliant, and I'm so pleased for him. But I did get the feeling also with Andy Robertson with his words, guys, that and they're looking. There's no doubt you know they're looking at left back.
Frimpong's incoming, isn't it? There's a lot of talk of Kirkes.
Yeah.
So Flying Wirtz is the other one in midfield. But Micah, you intimated on Match of the Day last night you think he might go to City.
Well, I mean, I'm not an insider, but just speculation that City were interested in him as well.
I understand they might be out of the race, Micah.
Oh, really?
Well,
Says who? Fabrizio Romano?
Says Harry, producer, next to me.
Sounds very strong towards Liverpool, doesn't it?
Both Fabrizio and David Ornstein have both said that Manchester City are out of the race, Mike. So it's looking very much like Liverpool.
When was that news? Just recently?
The last couple of days, really. Over the last 2 or 3 days. I mean, you got to stay on top of these things, Mike. You really had. A word on Mo Salah, because he got his goal yesterday, didn't he? Joined your record that you share with Andrew Cole, Alan.
Yeah.
Of 47 goal. I bet you didn't know on that season that because it wasn't a thing, was it?
No.
It's only it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But before you answer this, was this record with more games? Yes or no?
I'm not sure actually. Was it a 42
what year
season?
Would it have
or was
been?
it 94,
28.
95, I think.
No, that's the Premier League.
It was when we won the league, so 94, 95. What did you just say then?
1928.
Did you say Micah as well? Did you say it was in the Premier League then?
No, I said that's the Premier League then.
Well, yeah.
It was
what do you
Premier
think
League,
it was?
I thought it was just
football didn't exist before that, Micah. Football didn't exist.
It was 42 games. That doesn't count.
Oh, come on.
The record, you've got 4 more games to get the numbers up. Come on.
42 games. Producer John has just chipped in 42 games.
Ah, yes!
But did he play in them all?
Can't remember.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Yeah.
Goal assists and all of these, I don't know, whatever you call it now, goal involvements. That wasn't a thing back then. It was just goals.
And he's got 29 this season, Mo, and he's he's remarkable, isn't he?
Brilliant.
That he just keeps, as you say, he always seems to be playing. He very rarely gets injured, and touch wood, hopefully that stays the same way. Great that he's staying at Liverpool so we can get to enjoy him for at least another couple of seasons. He plays with a smile on his face. His consistency is incredible. He's just a wonderful footballer. I mean, he got 90% of the vote in the Football Writers, 90%, which is a record. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it, really? And he was the standout player of this season and must have probably an outside chance, because we know how people are obsessed with Champions League football in terms of the Ballon d'Or nowadays. But he's right up there of the players that have had the best of the season.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. Absolutely outstanding.
I think it's helped, though, tactically, because he said in an interview that I sort of said on Match of the Day yesterday, Slot allowed him to stay higher to save his energy for going forward. And the way Liverpool build up, it's a bit slower. Under Klopp, it was a lot higher paced, shall we say, higher intensity. So when he goes forward, he's just electric.
He'll miss Trent. Trent as much as anyone, I think. Because whatever you say about Trent, he's got the greatest passing range and his crossing is extraordinary. He's absolutely wonderful footballer. So, but by the way, Alan, just had it confirmed you played all 42 games of the 94-95 season. That's credit to you for your resilience.
That's why do you think we won the league?
Brilliant stuff. A few other subjects just want to talk about. Championship playoff final. Boy, oh boy. You said last night you thrilled Sunderland are back in the top flight?
Well, I am, because they're great games to play in, and when they're set bottom of the league and Newcastle takes 6 points off them, that's why I'm pleased they're coming in the Premier League.
Oh, that might not come back
You
to
wasn't
bite
saying
you.
that on the train, was you? When you were with the Sunderland fans, you was like, you coward. You didn't say a word, you coward.
Wait till that comes back to bite me next season if Sunderland beat us.
They'll forget it. They won't remember.
They need to sign a lot of players because, yeah, I mean, if you watch the game, Sheffield United for large periods were much the better team, but couldn't put the ball on the back of the net, and Sunderland sort of stuck in there and got a great result. So they need to improve massively.
Yeah, amazing day for their fans and for everyone. The way they got up and the drama and the glory. Wait till about October, you'll be thinking, I wish we hadn't won the playoffs. Sorry, that's just me as a Leicester fan this season, having gone through what we've gone through.
It's tough on Wilder, though. Chris Wilder.
Yeah, God, really
brilliant
tough.
season, actually, in the league. It looked like at one stage they was going to win it, and then to drop out of it and then not go up in the playoffs, which...
I know it's an initial disappointment, but glorious failure. And then to get another season of actually winning football matches in the Championship is not necessarily. I know it doesn't feel like that probably for their fans at the moment, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It really isn't. Elsewhere, the women's Champions League was won by Arsenal. So we must congratulate them. That is a fabulous effort to beat Barcelona.
Leah Williamson was
She's
immense.
A great footballer. Yeah.
She was immense in that game because Barcelona are massive favourites. They've got some real top quality players in that. Players who get nominated for Ballon d'Or, Women's Ballon d'Or every single year. So in terms of that game, it was like, if Arsenal can scrape a win, it's going to be very difficult. And then Blackstenius scored the goal. Could they hold out? And every tackle, she really her leadership skills were amazing because let's not forget she won the Euros and everyone was talking about her. And then she got injured and she come back and she wasn't really the same. It took her a while to get up to speed and everyone's saying she's not the same player. And then she's come back and to play how she played in that final was just remarkable. She was immense.
I thought she was the Lioness's best player in the Euros when they won it. I thought she was so good.
Another final where the underdog wins. It's the year of the underdog, isn't it?
Yeah.
Newcastle and Palace and Arsenal.
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. And Barcelona, I think they had scored 19 goals in the last 3. So to keep a clean sheet
brilliant.
Was an extraordinary effort.
Amazing.
And they've won 3 of the last 4 finals before that, Barcelona as well. So great effort from them. Final word this week on Napoli. Antonio Conte getting the title. Brilliant goal from Lukaku. And, Scott McTominay, do they love him in Naples. Did you hear
it's not McTominay. They're calling him McSauce. McSauce, Gary.
Did you hear that? Yeah, but did you hear the announcer at the end of the game? He got Scotto, and the whole crowd go McTominay.
Did you see the tweet that Napoli put out? Didn't they, with the overhead kick that McTominay scored, and they put one of overhead kick of Maradona, put them sort of next to each other. And it was, I was like...
Being mentioned in the same breath as Diego Maradona in Naples.
Unbelievable, yeah. You can imagine what it was like. I've seen some of the scenes where the fans going absolutely crazy, weren't they? So
it's been immense all season, though.
Yeah. He's got Football of the Year. He's got in
MVP, didn't he? He got 12 goals as well. His energy has been... But it's not only that, because when he was at Man United, everyone was talking about he just tackles, he's got energy and all that. But actually, his passing was really good. Technical ability was there. Because he's a big lad as well. Sometimes people don't think he's easy on the eye, but from start to finish, he's been really, really good.
Yeah. Is that a reflection too, perhaps, of how things have been at Manchester United, that their players have gone elsewhere and performed exceptionally well by and large?
Yeah, they've got rid of some of the wrong players, haven't they? Yeah. Simple as that. We have to give a shout out to Billy Gilmore as well. I spoke to Lukaku because he speaks to Thierry on his FaceTime like every other day. And he said the manager absolutely loves Billy Gilmore. He said, I can't believe he's not appreciated in the UK over here, the way he dictates the play, the way he's so calm, the way he always wants to pass forward as well. So a shout out to Billy Gilmore as well.
Did I read somewhere about maybe Kevin De Bruyne going to Napoli?
Yeah.
Oh, that would really be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I just want Romelu Lukaku. Do you think I'm not sure he gets the credit he deserves? You know, he's had a really amazing career. He's consistent goal scorer.
Yeah. Another one they got rid of.
Yeah, another one that went. Yeah, all the players that have been successful this season. You've got, even Anthony. Obviously, he's been really, really good for Betis this season.
Watch him score the winner against Chelsea.
Yeah, and Mason Greenwood, joint top scorer in the Liga as well.
Mad.
I know that's with slightly different circumstances than the others, but he has had a very good season. Okay, let's call it a day there. On Wednesday, there's an interview, part one actually, of a two-part interview with Justin Kluivert from Bournemouth. Really interesting and intelligent young man. So hopefully you'll listen to that. And on Friday, we'll be previewing the Champions League final. But for now, that's it. So goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Have a good week.